What's up guys and welcome. Today we're going to do a bit of a different thing. That is because I recently scored an amazing Sega Saturn haul. Now I never owned a Sega Saturn before, but I definitely grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s, so I have a bunch of fond memories of, early 3D games and also a bunch of good 2D games, so I'm really excited to own this. I got a console in box, a bunch of accessories, all complete in box, just like the console, and a bunch of games. Now I thought it would be cool to kind of take a look at how much this stuff is actually worth, because I paid 280 euros for the whole thing. That's right. I paid 280 euros for all those things, all complete in box, and I gotta say, in very, very good condition. So the first thing is obviously the Sega Saturn itself. This came with an RGB cable, a Model 1 controller, and an electricity power cable. Now the special thing about this, and one of the reasons why I really wanted this, is actually because it came modded with 3 little switches, and depending on how you switch those around, you're actually going to get different region modes of the Saturn, meaning that you could play imports, Japanese, American, you can set it to European. It even has 50 and 60 hertz modes for each region, barring the European one, for higher compatibility with monitors, which I think is pretty neat. The next thing are actually 2 Virtua guns, also complete in box, and as you can see, one came with Virtua Cop, the game. Now, that's pretty badass. I don't really have big enough of a CRT to warrant owning 2, but it's pretty funny to get those, to get the arcade action going and just play some shooting games. Another accessory I got was the Sega Virtua stick. Now, this isn't really the best stick out there. A lot of people prefer the Japanese stick, but I really enjoyed this stick, I gotta say, because I was able to try a bunch of games out, and I used this stick, and I'm definitely used to high quality modern day sticks. I gotta say, this didn't really disappoint. I mean, maybe I didn't expect enough out of it. My expectations were pretty low after what I've heard online, but using this stick, it was pretty okay. It's not mechanical. The buttons feel a bit soft, and they're definitely not made for mashing. Also, the stick itself isn't really too precise, but I could see myself using this for maybe a shmup or 2. It's an okay stick, and I think the rep it gets online is definitely not warranted. This is a nice stick and a good addition to your Sega Saturn collection. Next is the Sega Saturn 3D control pad. I had a chance to try this controller out. Well, not really. Not many games actually support it, but this, I gotta say, might just be one of the best controllers ever made. A lot of people say that about the second model Sega Saturn controller, but after I've tried this, and I gotta say I have pretty big hands, maybe that factors into this, but this controller was just so comfy to use. The D-pad is pretty responsive, it feels nice. The analog stick is kind of cool, it's not what I'm used to from the Dreamcast or the GameCube, but it's a nice analog stick. It feels good. The shoulder buttons are okay, and so are the buttons. This also gets kind of a weird rap online for its, funky form factor, and yeah, I mean, it's a circle, right? So it's a Saturn, but this controller feels pretty nice. It's just kind of sad that it doesn't really support many games. I'm gonna put up a list of the games that support it, and it's really not that many. Most of those are Sega first-party games, and so it just comes to show that not many third-party developers actually believed in this control pad, even though it's pretty nice. Another cool thing about this is actually the pack-in. This came with Nights, and mine also had Nights into Dreams, the Christmas version, though I'm not sure if every control pad came with that. So now I am at my PC, and we're gonna take a look at how much all those things are worth. For this, I'll be using pricecharting.com. Pricecharting is a free-to-use website that basically tells you just how much a game is worth. Now, the data that they provide should be taken with a tiny grain of salt because they rely on eBay prices. So they don't look at the prices on eBay for current listings. They look at listings that have already been sold. So for past sales, the prices that people were actually willing to pay for the games and consoles and accessories. While they don't have everything, they fairly recently introduced Japanese games as well, so that's pretty exciting. Obviously, price charting can't have every game ever made on their website, but it's pretty good. It's very nice. And the first game that I have is actually the first game I want to take a look at right now is actually Street Fighter Alpha 2. So the way this works, we're just gonna go here and write Street Fighter Alpha 2, and you can see they already give me suggestions, and that is on PAL Sega Saturn. So let's do PAL Sega Saturn games first, and you can see this went for the average. Now, I'm not really sure how they determine the average, for like how many weeks. But we can go to complete inbox sold listings here. And it sold for 55 euros once, 38 euros, 20 euros, 30 euros. Excellent condition. I think mine is in pretty good condition, but I'm just gonna stick with this average, volume 1 sale per week. Okay, so they look at the past few weeks, and 37 euros. That's not too bad. The next one would be Golden Axe, the Duel, and let's just write Golden Axe like this and just look for PAL Sega Saturn, Sega Mega Drive, PAL Sega Saturn, Golden Axe, the Duel. Complete 47 euros. All right, so if we take a look, 53, 48, 73. All right, now keep in mind that those prices are eBay, and everything, I always say this, everything is a bit overpriced on eBay because you can get it, right now. So prices on websites like Craigslist would, of course, be a bit lower. Virtua Fighter 2 is another game that I have. Virtua Fighter 2, PAL Sega Saturn. That is a really cheap one. And a lot of people consider this to be one of the best Sega Saturn games. So if you don't have this, maybe you should go and pick it up. It's pretty cheap. Virtua Fighter 2, good fighting game. I also have Virtua Cop 2. For the PAL Sega Saturn, about 20 euros. Yeah, seems about right. Box complete with manual, 18. Mint condition for 33. A German copy here. UK PAL, 10 bucks. Big box with manual, 43. And the virtual gun. Okay, so those had the virtual gun, and that's why they were a bit more expensive. Die Hard Arcade would be the next game that I have. I actually have that game twice. PAL Sega Saturn, 52 euros. Wow, really? That's interesting. It's French, 37. Maybe another French sale right here. 76, 83. Promo. Okay, so this is something special. You can also click those links and it's going to take you to the offer. Yeah, so this isn't actually what I have. This is something completely else, like a promo or demo disc. But if we click something like this, we're going to see, yeah, well, there you go. And this is actually in a worse condition than the one I have. Definitely. Look at that. Yeah. No, mine's definitely in a nicer condition. This one for 44. So I think 52, 53 is pretty fair. Now we could also take a look at the Sega Virtua Stick. Let's see if they have that. JP Sega Saturn. That's not what I'm looking for. So you might actually have to go to eBay here. This is the wrong address right here. Let's go to ebay.com. That's right. And we're gonna write Virtua Stick Saturn. Okay, and we see a bunch of those being sold now, or for offer. Now, you don't want to look at the prices here. Those prices are fake prices. Most people, I don't think anybody was willing to pay $430 for this arcade stick. And I've heard that those also tend to break pretty easily, so I don't think they're worth $150. But either way, you want to go down here and click sold items and completed items. So we're going to click apply. All right, and there you go. This is the one I have. $50 plus $17 shipping. Is there a way for me to pick euros? No, there's not. This sold for 400. This sold for one of those actually sold. That's crazy. Huh. 25 plus 40 shipping. So we're looking at about 60 here. $60. 29. Shipping not specified. 40 plus 60. So it seems to be about like $60. With the box. This one depicts a box. I'm not sure if this is actually... They just kind of like to use stock pictures here. Interesting. But this, another one, $40. well, almost $40 plus $40 shipping, that's $80. And this one here, $90 plus $56 shipping. So it's going to be hard to put a price on that. US version, brand new. Wow, so this one was brand new. That's pretty awesome. Sega Saturn Virtual Stick arcade controller, $45 plus 35 shipping. So seems to be in like the 80 range, I want to say. You know, completely new. Mine isn't completely new. It's in good condition. Very good condition, I'd say, but it's definitely not new. Those ones, two of them, $10. Interesting. 35, shipping not specified, 35. So without the box, they seem to go for about 50-ish. With the box, we're talking about 80. A bit more than 80, you know, in dollars, which amounts to about 80 euros. So I'll be content with that for now. The next thing I want to take a look at is actually Nights into Dreams. So we have the PAL Sega Saturn, I think, right? Oh, but it's just a game. Yeah, we need the 3D control pad bundle, which goes for 105 euros. But those are all the American versions of this. I actually need the PAL version. So let's write Nights into Dreams 3D controller. That's not how you spell controller. Not that it really matters, I think. This is actually a bundle. Interesting. And again, we're looking at sold listings here. Nights into Dreams not for resale with 3D controller. That's pretty awesome. Big. Maybe I should write CIB comes in box. $92. This one, $80. This is what I have. 3D control pad Saturn complete CIB, $105 plus 15 shipping. Wow. So far this is the only PAL one that I've seen. Maybe if I write PAL into the search query, we'll find it. A loose, not loose, but an in-box 3D controller, 84. That's quite a lot. Interesting. Let's try writing PAL here. I mean, nothing of interest so far. So the one that did sell, the one that I have, or something like I have sold for over $120, right? Is that right? This is a Japanese copy. It's pretty cool. So I'll go with like 100 euros. I think that's pretty fair. Next up would be Virtua Guns. Now, Virtua Gun, Saturn, Sega Saturn Virtua Gun. I should probably specify CIB and maybe PAL. Results matching fewer words. Okay, so they're gonna show me a bunch of virtual games right now, which is not what I wanted. Lot. Okay, it's a lot. Game lot. So you can see that Sega Saturn doesn't really sell much, which also explains why it's so expensive. Not because I don't think there's no demand for it. It's just that those things aren't that common. And I mean, obviously the demand is lower than with SNES stuff, and less people are into it too. But it's a cool gun. How do I do this? Maybe without PAL. CIB. And we'll just go for there. 150. Sega Saturn Virtual Cop big box bundle with stunner, light gun complete in box. So this is pretty much what I have, except mine is the PAL copy of the game. Although at this point, I mean, if we're talking beautiful, like decent condition boxes like this one, I'm really not sure how important the game is. Like if you shell out $150 for something like this, then you probably don't really care about the game. Okay. Well, I mean, with the game in box, 70 plus 75 shipping. So the gun alone sold for $105 plus $20 or $18 shipping. So that's definitely over $120 just for the gun. Now with Virtua Cop, we're talking probably even more. Maybe not, I don't know, but probably, since a game is included. So see details. What are the details? This listing has ended. Please note the hairline crack noted in the last two pictures from the crosser blue chamber and super glue. So very noticeable. Okay, so that's why he listed it as refurbished. Bandit, which causes not to include Virtua Cop and the palette region virtual gun. So as you can see, the box art and box design does not include Virtua Cop at all. Really? I didn't know that. That's cool. So I own this actually. That's pretty awesome. So it sold for $120. Let's just say, I mean, 110, 100, you know. And then one with Virtua Cop in box. Might just have to go with the US prices here. This is the Japanese version. It looks pretty awesome. Why are they so cheap? 92. So I think it's fair to say like 200 maybe for both, you know. They don't really specify shipping here, but they always tend to go for like 75 with Virtua Cop. So maybe 100 for both, you know. Then complete Sega Saturn in-box PAL. Sega Saturn PAL CIB. I should just write console. Okay. Oh, that's sold? What in the hell? That's insane. Almost CIB Sega Saturn console. So, I mean, this is not factoring in that mine is actually modded, which a modder would also want money for that. I think 8-bit mods once about like $50 or something, 50 pounds actually, in order to mod Sega Saturn console. There you go, price charting helping us out. PAL Sega Saturn, not available. Okay, it's a bit sad. So if we don't look at the sold listings, Sega Saturn console, PAL. Best match. Okay, 87, 32, 69. Those are all current offers. But I'm interested in for how much those sold. Sega Saturn region free mod plays all US JP PAL with RGB card. I mean, that's pretty much what I have, except mine also came with a box. Yeah, Model 1 PAL mod, region free modded with RGB cable, a controller, and the power cable. Damn, that's actually a lot of money. Think about it. Sega Saturn console 120, but then this one sold for 120 with 4 games and the box and cables, although that's a composite cable. So I'm not really sure what to make of this. Could be hard to say. 283 PAL with 4 games, boxed, fully working, $180. So let's say 200, maybe, you know, 200 euros is more of an estimate here. Obviously depends on how much someone is willing to pay, but since it includes the mod work, I think that's a pretty fair estimate. It also comes with an RGB cable, a pretty nice one, a very thick, high quality RGB cable. Box with games, PAL. This one's pretty cheap. Look at that. All right, let's say 150 euros. I'm okay with that. Then we should look at more games, NTSC games to be precise. I have, let's start with Dark Savior for the Sega Saturn, American version. 80 euros? Really? This one went for 160. Why does it say 80? You know, sometimes they mislabel things here, and so they actually have loose copies at CIB, and that's how you know that, okay, it's actually is the wrong price, like this one right here. So that's like sealed or something. Like, condition doesn't look too great to me. I mean, it's just sealed in some shrink wrap or something. Huh. Okay. Just the CD, yeah. So they had this CD here at 40 euros on their CIB, even though that's obviously a loose copy. So you should always take those with a grain of salt, but 80 euros, I mean, did those actually sell? It just seems like those were like the same person just put those back in. Original box manual, excellent condition. I like to think that mine is in pretty good condition. 105.93 euros. All right. Did it actually sell though, or is it like, that's weird. All right, let's go with the estimate of 80. 3 sales per week. Okay, interesting. Next up, $1.02 for the Sega Saturn, American Sega Saturn, 40. All right, as always, take that with a grain of salt. I have Shanghai, the one game I'll probably never play. Shanghai Triple Threat by Activision. Huh. Triple Threat for the 3D. Oh no, we have the Sega Saturn version. 12 euros. Not bad. Also, Spot Goes to Hollywood. There you go. The Sega Saturn, 35 euros. All right. Sega Sports, Sega Rally Champions. Huh. How do I find that? What if I write Sega Sport? Okay, we need to write Sega Rally. Does not already spell rally. Okay, but it's a smart website. They know what I mean. Sega Saturn, Sega Rally Championship. Is that it? Yep, that's it. 27. All right. Then Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Sega Saturn. Oh, somebody already clicked that. 93. Yeah. That's why I said this is probably the most expensive one. 93. That's pretty crazy if you ask me. And I also have that Japanese game called Dynamite Deca. And keep in mind all those games, by the way, with the manual, complete inbox. You think I'll find it if I write Dynamite Deca? JP Sega Saturn, yeah. There you go. 30 euros. All right. That's pretty interesting. All right. So if we calculate all of those things together, it comes out to a total of, number on screen, 814 euros. Well, there you go, guys. If you want to think about it that way, I profited, quote unquote profited, a bit over 530 euros. And that's, fairly pricing everything, a bit under market value. It's just an estimate after all, It really comes down to how much someone is willing to pay for all those things, or each individual thing, really. But for now, this will have to do. Guys, I want to thank you so much if you've stuck around for long enough to see this ending sequence. If you enjoyed this type of content, definitely let me know. I really enjoyed going online, looking at things, just checking if something is a good deal or not. That's definitely something I'd maybe like to repeat in the future if you guys want to see that. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next. Amazing.